Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. Today, we're just going to take a quick look at Litecoin and its valuations against Bitcoin. Remember, if you do like this video and the other videos that I make on this channel, be sure to hit the like button down below and also consider subscribing. So, um, we haven't looked at Litecoin in quite a while, mainly because it hasn't really been doing anything. It's been pretty much moving sideways in regards to its Bitcoin valuation for the past 4 months, so to speak. Remember, I'm on the monthly candle chart, mind you. So each candle is represented by a month, and ever since October, we've been essentially moving sideways with wicks to the top and wicks to the bottom. And what's interesting is when you have wicks that extend pretty far above and below, indicates indecision. And I think that's a pretty good example, pretty good way of saying it in regards to LTC BTC charts, or the Litecoin Bitcoin ratio. When we look at the previous, so the reason why people trade Litecoin, or at least why I would trade Litecoin, is to get in on these moves here. Full disclosure, I do not own any Litecoin at this point. I think I bought Litecoin at the top in 2017, so it was like worth $250 per coin, and I've held it ever since. I didn't intend to sell it, but at this moment, it accounts to very little of my portfolio. It's negligible at best. But the reason why people would hold Litecoin, I would assume, is to get on these big pumps. Now, there are two things to note of when Litecoin pumps. One is when Bitcoin gets past its prior all-time high, and second is when it gets to its all-time high. Third, you can give the option of the halving, which was, I believe, here, if I'm not mistaken. But when Litecoin halvings happen, you do see big pumps like this. Obviously, when we look at this one in comparison to this one, the pumps are getting smaller. You could say that the market's getting more efficient. People know about the halving. People know that Litecoin shoots up in anticipation of the halving, so people buy earlier, but people also sell earlier. And because of that, markets get more efficient. The pumps get um, less big, and so on and so forth. And you can maybe say the same argument here. Um, People are buying into Litecoin because of this. And when we look at, in comparison to, I have the two charts time locked. So you could see when we got to the prior all-time high, that's when Bitcoin really shot up. It shot up for months. It shot up for 4 months until it started bleeding back down. Um, and this one, we didn't see that. We saw it break the prior all-time high for Bitcoin right here, but we didn't see anything. We saw a 10% gain on the month in anticipation of crossing the all-time high, prior all-time high, I should say. But the 2 months going after it, December, and we're nearing the end of January. Here we are, and we see these in like these wicks, especially this month of January. Saw long wicks to the top and long wicks to the bottom, going as low as 0.0035 and going as high as 0.005. Um, these are some pretty, relatively speaking, long wicks in this time of the market. We're no we're different than we were here. I would say markets are more efficient, and so the question is well, what is Litecoin going to do? Um, well, uh, hard to say. You could say that this market is a little different than what it was prior. When we flip it back to the weekly, one big notice is that, well, we only made contact with the 20-week once right here. Um, in the prior bull market, we hit it multiple times. Now, we could say that we're fairly early. You could say that we're about to at this moment here from the looks of it. Um, but it obviously looks a little different, and every market's gonna every run's gonna look a little different. And because of that, you can then argue that Litecoin might behave differently in this time around. But I think the overall idea is still the same. The optimal trading channels are here and here. as we've seen before. Um, and that would be still my theoretical target for this coin. Um, you can see here on the weekly, been very indecisive. It's been floating here for months. Okay, for months. Um, with that said, uh, you're probably doing okay on the U.S. dollar value. If we flip it to the U.S. dollar, well, you could take a look at that in that same amount of time. Litecoin has been really moving, but I would argue that's all in due part because of Bitcoin, almost exclusively because of Bitcoin, not because Bitcoin's gaining on not because Litecoin is gaining on Bitcoin, but Bitcoin's rather dragging up Litecoin with it. And if you look at the coins by market cap, Litecoin is straggling behind, just like XRP. Am I saying that Litecoin is a bad buy? No, it's a very risky buy. Um, I do consider uh, this to be an optimum buying opportunity. We see wicks at the bottom. You might be able to chance it and try to get a lower price, but it's hard to say at this point. It is hard to say. It's not as I guess hindsight is 2020, but it's not as clear cut as here, where we really bled down to the bottom of this, and then we shot up. Here we've been moving sideways, moving sideways, moving. You can't even say we're bleeding because we've really just been moving sideways. And with those monthly indecisive candles, the market's telling us it doesn't know where it's going to go. I would argue eventually Lycon will come back up. Does it come back up to this level? Hard to say. If I were one to hold it, I would try to undershoot it. Much like my strategy for all the other coins, undershoot the coin, make 0.014 somewhere relatively the top in comparison to say 0.018. But that's just me. You can hold it as long as you want. It's entirely up to you. um, Ideally, if we, so again, I don't hold Litecoin at this time, but what would be for me an optimum buying opportunity for Litecoin? Well, Litecoin would have to get to the lower half of this trading channel here, down below here. And I said the same, it was the same exact thing with Basic Attention Token, for example. Basic Attention Token wasn't a coin that I thought I must have, but if it came below or on the lower half or even below, I would argue that's a great buying opportunity. And I lucked out, you could say, or I took a calculated risk at 680 sats, and here we are 915 sats. I would say the same thing for Litecoin. The odds of it going below the trading channel are fairly low, but if it did, then that is a buying opportunity. That is a very good buying opportunity. Even at the lower half of this trading channel is an optimum buying opportunity. Going up to the top here, that's a 500% gain against Bitcoin. I'd say that's pretty good. So in short, um, it's really like a wait and see with Litecoin. If it, if you hold Litecoin, um, I guess you must be a little frustrated considering when you look at, well, maybe not today, but over the weekend and the past subsequent weekends, you must have been fairly disappointed because you see all these other altcoins really gaining against Bitcoin. But with Litecoin, it hasn't been doing so much. If it gets lower, I think that's a buying opportunity. Even here is a buying opportunity in some respects, but considering my portfolio right now, I have um, good enough risk allocated to altcoins. So I'm perfectly happy leaving Litecoin where it is. And if it goes up, it goes up. For those who hold it, I wish you all the best. But at this point here, not a coin that I'm looking to buy at. Again, if it comes to the lower half of this trading channel, I might reconsider. Um, but at this point, I'll let bygones be bygones. I am okay with letting this go, so to speak, if it decides to move from this point. And that's simply it. I'm not hating against the coin. It's just every trader, every person that buys assets really needs to look at their portfolio. Look at how much risk you're holding, and ask yourself, are you willing to take on more risk? My answer to that is not at the moment. No. For you, it might be different. And if that's the case, all the power to you. Anyway, that's just a quick analysis with Litecoin. Not much going on right now. very, very indecisive moment. But that's all for today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.